the show this morning. I am really excited because I'm a big fan of Colin Mochrie, and Whose Line Is It Anyway? He's on the air with us this morning, and master hypnotist Asad Mecci. Their new show is coming to Keene at the Colonial Theater. It's Hyprov, Improv Under Hypnosis. Guys, this is a great idea. Like it seems like it's a great marriage. Improv and hypnosis. How did you guys think of it?
Jump in here. I was taking classes at the Second City to get better at my craft. And oftentimes the instructors would say, get out of your head, you're too much in your head. And what I understood that to mean was stop consciously constructing comedy. They wanted a knee-jerk reaction. They wanted to get the cuff. So I thought, wait a second, with hypnosis, you're engaging the conscious mind and you're working directly with the unconscious mind. So right. I thought, is it possible to hypnotize somebody who has no experience in improv and turn them into a great improviser? And then is it possible to up the stakes even further and bring in the world's greatest living improviser to improvise with these people on stage while they're hypnotized? I reached out to Colin Mochrie from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And now he is an incredible component to this interesting, fascinating show that we've got going on. Improv on Hypnosis, Parker.
The legendary
coffee, buddy.
The legendary Colin Mochrie. Colin, you know, I gotta ask, like, so on the show, Whose Line? You know, when you bring people onto the stage, there's so many times I get frustrated because, especially, you know, the sound effects game you guys will play. Yeah. You know, you're giving them all the clues and they come up with nothing for sound effects. What Asad does in the beginning of the show when he finds these people and hypnotizes them, it takes away those inhibitions, right? Does it make your job a little easier because are they less inhibitions? Do they have less, inhibitions about going on stage?
Yes, in some ways it does make it easier. In that, usually when you're dealing with first-time improvisers, they're played to the crowd. They often go. Right. That doesn't happen with these people. They truly are. They just respond immediately to everything Asad and I say. The difficulty for me is that they're not working towards a scene. When I'm working with the Whose Line guys, we're all working, of course, we're milking the scene for all it's worth, but we also try to get to a point where, okay, we're going to go towards this ending. That doesn't happen with these people. They're truly just living in the moment. This is all they have. They're not looking forward to a resolution to the scene. To them, it's just life, or I don't know what it is for them, but it's just. So that makes it fun for me, trying to wrap everything up. And just as I'm about to, they'll throw in some new information that I'll have to use.
Right. Nobody takes the clues. Nobody gets the clues at all. Yeah.
It's like living with your family.
Right. You're right. Assad, I feel like I'm one of these people that couldn't get hypnotized. Is that true? Because can everybody get hypnotized, or is there certain people? Because I get kind of a strong will. I'm like, what's this guy doing? I feel like my brain wouldn't let me. But I see some of the people that go on stage, and it's crazy what they end up doing. It's there's definitely something to it. What is it?
So the best hypnotists are the ones that are able to immerse themselves fully and get a response emotionally. So I'll give you an example. Two people watch a horror movie. One person says, this is bad acting. I don't really think that the narrative makes sense. The other person is screaming and jumping in their chair throughout the movie. The person who screams and jumps in their chair, they're good hypnotic subjects. Another example would be you watch a tearjerker, right? One person says, bad acting. The other person starts to bawl their eyes out. So the people who are able to get so wrapped up in what they're watching and dissociate from the surroundings, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, so much so that they get an emotional response, they are really good hypnotic subjects. So when I bring up volunteers on stage, I'm calibrating them. So I'm observing their physiology. I'm observing their body language, the way that they breathe. I'm looking for these tells, if you will.
Right.
So out of 20 volunteers, I whittle it down to the best subject, and then from there Colin walks on stage and improvises with these people that are hypnotized. I mean, I always say I've got a front row seat to the best comedy in the world because I get to see Colin Mochrie from Whose Line Anyway improvise with some rando volunteer from the audience. It is a wacky show. It is a comedy highway track.
I bet people love the show. So I noticed that some of the games from Whose Line is in this show as well. Colin, has anybody surprised you on stage yet? Have there been any of those moments, like those Robin Williams moments or those Richard Simmons moments? Fantastic. Yeah. Do those happen too on the live stage?
Oh, sure. Every night. And as the world's greatest living improviser, I learned how to roll with it. I find it so fascinating because they make choices that real improvisers wouldn't make. It's just because they're not going for the joke, they're living in this reality. We had this game where I'm looking for a superhero sidekick. We get from the audience the Gibraltar Kid. So I say, so what's your power? Do you turn into a rock? Or he goes, no, I have residency in Gibraltar. And I said, what? He said, yeah, if anything happens there, I can take care of it. I said, so your superpower is you can work where you live? He went, yeah. Now that is a pretty bizarre offer, a pretty bizarre choice, but it made for a fun scene.
Yeah, I can imagine because you're trying to figure out how to, and the audience is going to be in on it too. They're trying to help you, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean the audience whose family members are on stage, they're having the best time because they're seeing. Oh, we've had so many people just afterwards going, I don't know this person you had on stage. This is not the person I live with. It's fascinating.
Asad, tell me about is it any times when the hypnotist, like, can people fall out of hypnosis while they're on stage? Because they're hypnotized when they're on stage. Can Colin be doing a bit and somehow they suddenly realize what they're doing?
Yeah, and then I just give them a suggestion that they'll snap back into it. Yeah, it's amazing to watch because at one point, the majority of the time when they're really good subjects, they don't crack during the scenes, right? They're laughing during the scenes. Like if you brought up 20 volunteers that weren't hypnotized, that had no improv background, and you threw them into scenes with Colin, it would be utter chaos. First of all, they'd be cracking left, right, and center. Right. They would find it absolutely hilarious. They'd be hesitating. They'd be so conscious. With the people who are hypnotized, they immediately jump into the scene and they're fully, completely committed. It's amazing to watch. Some of these guys, like you take, it's always the weirdest thing is that the people I think the funniest people on stage, like the quote unquote, like improv, like Chris Farley types, or like, the ones that look they would belong on Saturday Night Live are usually the least funniest. But I have to say, like Nona, the grandma, who looks like, this lady's going to be a nut. She's going to be flat. Right. Coming up with all kinds of hilarious bits. Like it's so weird. The show's weird. Every single time I watch it, even as I watch it, and we've been doing this for a decade, 150 cities across North America, performing at Paris, performing off Broadway. Every single time we watch the show, Colin and I are both like, that was a really bizarre show. So weird, so funny, out of left field half the time. It's constantly still surprises me a decade later performing the show.
And now, Colin, being the master, is part of the key to your mastery. When you're on stage, are you kind of looking at other people? Like, are you kind of getting clues to know, oh, this would be a good thing to do maybe later on in the show? Do you remember certain things like mannerisms or anything that somebody might do on stage?
Yeah,
and then you turn around?
As I'm working with them, I can certainly see, okay, this is kind of a Ryan Stiles character. This is
right.
By that I mean a dud. And then so everybody, I go, oh, this person is very physical, and so that's something we can use. So yeah, what I love about this show is I believe it's really honed my improv skills, because I can't make assumptions with these people like I can with everybody else that I've improvised with, because I know them. With these people, I really have to kind of watch and listen and see, okay, oh, that's where they're coming from. Okay. So it's been a great experience for me in that way.
Yeah, it has to almost be like even more fun for you, because I would imagine like with Who's Line, you know, every show is always different with Who's Line, but you do know those guys. You know where you can go. Like everybody knows that they can throw a ball joke at you and it's fine. You know, that sort of thing.
Hypnotism does not stop that. It still happens.
So of course, because they feel like they know you from the show, right? So being able to work with people you don't normally work for has got to be really exciting for you, because it probably brings back that, oh, hey, this is going to be a different show again.
Yeah, and just looking into their eyes and seeing life there, as opposed to what I'm used to, it's great. They still have hope. It's lovely.
And one quick, and we got to go, but one quick other question here, because I know you've been doing it a long time. Both of you have been doing this together for over 10 years with this show, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time. Yeah. So the differences, Colin, between audiences in the UK and audiences in America, different comedy styles, right?
They are. I mean, the great thing about the UK is they've been exposed to a lot of American humor. So they kind of have, Americans still have, I think, sometimes trouble with the British humor. And I mean, the British humor is all over the place, from the cringe comedy to just sexist, but to things like Monty Python. But I got to say, when they're hypnotized, they're all the same. They all just are improved versions of themselves, confident, able to keep up with me, and sometimes surpass me. I'm kidding, of course, but they do well.
It depends on how much Asad gives to them, and how much that comedy power. Guys, thanks so much for being on the show. Details on how to get tickets are here on the website if you're watching the video, but we'll put it on our website, on the radio station sites as well. Colin Mochrie, Asad Mecci, thanks so much for being on the show. Hyprov, improv under hypnosis at the Colonial Theater. Thanks again for being on the show, guys.
Oh, thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, Parker.